Let's start with I promise we'll move through this quickly. The weirdest news of the week, which is Elon sort of flippantly renaming Twitter to X, basically by tweet fiat. Like he just tweeted it into existence, and then everyone had to pretend it was the plan. Richard, you've been on top of this. Tell me what's going on here.
It kind of started this weekend. Elon has been talking about rebranding Twitter as X pretty much since he started to take it over. He made this X company its parent company a while ago. And then this weekend, he just went ahead and did it. He said, we're X now. He hadn't changed anything. Everything on the site still said Twitter. And even now, it still kind of says Twitter all over the place. But he says that they're not tweets anymore. They're X's, or I don't know. I don't know how you pronounce that. I haven't really gotten that far into it. We've got a logo that is a letter X. It might just be a font. It might have changed a little bit. We don't know. He changed it back, and then he changed it to another thing. It got wider. It got narrower. But this is where we live now. It's X. It's not Twitter. It's X. Yeah. Even though it says Twitter everywhere.
It says Twitter everywhere. The domain is still Twitter. No one knows what to call a tweet anymore. There's some argument that you have to call them Zeets.
No.
That's what the people say.
I'm sorry. I know I'm a big proponent of calling them all tweets, even the threads and the other ones. And I've come around. They're all posts now. Now that Twitter's dead, they're all posts now. I'm not calling them Zeets. Don't come at me with that.
Well, no, your argument makes more sense now. You can call anything a tweet now because they don't care.
You can, but that's like, having to differentiate and be like, oh yeah, did you see that thread tweet? Did you see that X tweet?
Oh, right. Did you see that post?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I guess posts it is. You guys wore me down. I'm like, I couldn't hold strong.
Yeah.
Much like everyone who works at X now. They couldn't stop him.
So a lot of people have tried to retcon what is happening here. We've talked a lot about how Elon has said he wants Twitter, now X, to be an everything app along the lines of China's WeChat. That's a big concept to unpack. But I just want to call out Linda Yaccarino, who is the CEO of X, nominally in charge of this company, had a tweet thread, an X thread, about what she thinks this thing is going to turn into. Alex, I just want you to read it to us. It is incredible.
I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I'm going to read one of the relevant posts because we're not calling them tweets anymore. Tweets are dead. X is the future state of unlimited interactivity, centered in audio, video, messaging, payments, banking, creating a global marketplace for ideas, goods, services, and opportunities. Powered by AI, X will connect us all in ways we're just beginning to imagine.
Yeah. Now, I understand that Linda was the former head of advertising for NBC Universal. This is ad copy.
It's like, I think everyone understands she was the former ad exec now.
Once you're everything, you are nothing. I believe in focus more than anything. What this reminds me of more than anything, I swear to God, the first thing I thought of when I read this is the speech that Big Brother gives in Apple's 1984 ads, where he's like, with the Information Purification Directive, we have achieved total world domination. You will be free from the shackles of conflicting thoughts, like workers of the world unite. And then the lady throws the hammer through it and they're like, we made the Macintosh. Go watch that ad. And which side of that story do you want to be on? Like the Big Brother side or the lady with the hammer? Like, we're the lady with the hammer. That's where the Verge has always lived.
I love that they just announced that they basically want some sort of monopoly. They're like, we are out to build a monopoly for everything and control all things. And it's like, well, that's actually a bad pitch. I
mean, it's a great pitch if you can pull it off. But this idea that you're going to start by rebranding the company to X, and then you will with AI. But she's a marketer because she's powered by AI.
That was the best part.
A minute ago, she would have been powered by NFTs. X will be the future state of whatever
5G,
it is today.
5G.
Tell me you're a marketing executive without telling me you're a marketing executive.
Yes. X is a self-driving car. Whatever it is. Centered in audio, video, messaging, payments, and banking. You know what's not in there is tweets. Centered in audio?
Isn't that messaging?
I don't think that's messaging.
What are you talking about? This is the best app to watch the Super Mario Brothers movie on, right? Is that one?
So just incredible, right? Like and Linda will be at the Code Conference this year. Julia Boorstin's going to interview her. That's in September. We're very excited about it. Many questions to ask. But you just look at this vision for what they want X to be. And it's funny to make fun of it, and it is a lot of marketing. But you can see why they're saying this. This is WeChat.
Yeah.
Like, there are apps like this, super apps all around the world. Facebook pursued a super app model for a long time. They have discovered that in the United States market in particular, you need multiple apps. Like, you just can't do it the way that you can do it in China. I think Line is an app like this in Japan. There's other countries where this model works. So you see why you'd say it. You want a messaging app that does payments and banking and hotel reservations and all the other stuff that WeChat can do. It has an extensible plugin architecture. There's actually a long argument that the cell phone market in China is more competitive than anywhere else because the application layer is in WeChat. So It's easier to switch between platforms because then you just download WeChat and run everything in WeChat and it doesn't matter. And you can pick like a camera or a form factor or whatever, because at the end of the day, all your apps are running in WeChat. You can feel any way you want about that, including that the Chinese government is almost certainly scanning WeChat at all times because it's like an oppressive, whatever. But that's the argument, right? That this exists somewhere at scale and makes them a lot of money and has all kinds of weird downstream effects on like gadgets. Cool. You have Twitter. You're starting from the base of Twitter, which is so creaky right now. You had to impose rate limits on the API. And it like, kind of doesn't work, and it's like full of like weird blue check spam. Elon's doing anti-vax conspiracies like this week. How are you going to get from here to there? There's no plan as far as I can see.
Well, I think the first step is that you reveal that your executives will allow people to look into the back end of people's accounts. Pretty much it will. And that's how you're going to get that trust for people to use this as a banking and payments app. Like, just say that we're going to do the files and we're going to let people have administrative access and look into accounts just whenever they want to.
I mean, that's true. That's what you want. Again, if your plan is WeChat, you're like, how do we do some Chinese government stuff?
That's like the selling point.
Let's begin. So that's that. That's like the broad strokes. I think that he did it to get attention. I think Elon is a master of getting attention. I also think that he makes all of his Twitter news on the weekends. Say what you want about him. Like, he's obviously doesn't give a shit about Twitter Monday through Friday, right? He's like worried about his companies that make money. And then like the white wine starts flowing on Friday night and Twitter's plans change by Sunday evening. Like, that's the news cycle we're in with pretty enforced consistency. I think he's good at getting attention. I think that he sees what's happening with Threads. We can talk about Threads in the following feed and stuff they introduced. But he's got to keep continuously recapturing attention for Twitter because that's the entire game he's in. So I'm going to change the name to X. Screw it. We're doing it tonight. Send me some logos. It's a great way to capture. It has kept him in the conversation even as Threads rolls out a following feed. I think in a few weeks, Threads will roll out a web app. That's what Adversary is saying. By the time Threads rolls out a web app, Elon's going to be like, it is a self-driving car. X is making a self-driving car. I've merged it with Tesla. Like, that's just where his brain is to capture attention. I just don't think he's got the capability to do any of this stuff because he fired everybody.
He has zero capability to do it. And it's like, okay, you renamed it. You're capturing attention. Is that attention turning into users and or money?
As measured by user seconds in the app, yes. The statistic that is so great that absolutely no one other than Elon Musk uses, and no one seems to understand exactly what it is. But judging by that statistic, yes, he is winning. And that brings us to now, where we've got all of these things. He's sort of changed the name. He has mostly changed the name. It's changed on Android, but not on iOS as I'm speaking. Maybe by the time you hear this, it will have changed in the iOS app. Twitter has tried to push businesses into buying more ads so they can X has tried to push businesses into buying more ads so they can stay verified. We had Esther Crawford, characters coming back from past seasons, suddenly pop up talking about what it was like to work at Twitter until she was fired and sleeping on the floor and how Elon listens to whoever just happens to be around and takes random ideas.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we haven't discussed?
The one thing I want to point out is Threads rolled out its following feed this week. Great. It's cool. It immediately showcases how little volume there is on Threads. Like I follow a lot of people on Threads. Everyone's still posting on Twitter. So that hasn't happened yet. I think it won't happen until they roll out the web version, which both Zuckerberg and Adam Mosseri have said they're going to do. And Mosseri in response to Casey, Zuckerberg in response to Lauren Good. So Verge alumni network out there getting us what we need. But if you don't have the web version, it's very hard for true posters to keep up the pace. So I think that's like coming. But you can't leave the app stuck in the following feed. It's not a sticky preference. It defaults you whenever, if your app gets pushed out of memory or reboots in any way, or even it seems like just whenever it feels like it, it'll drop you back into the algorithmic feed, which is just a pure pain in the ass. And they should just make that setting sticky. And that's just respecting user preferences. Like I don't feel like I'm being a diva about this. It's like I set the preference, leave it alone. Like my car is not like I've moved the seat around to what I think will be more appropriate for you. It's like just leave it. It seems very simple to me.
It's a real Clippy move.
It seems like what you want is the Nugget account. Like here it is again.